Have you ever witnessed a love so strong it seemed to defy everything around it? A love that bloomed in the most unlikely of places, surrounded not by encouragement, but by whispers and doubts. Today I want to tell you a story about such a love. It's the story of two people, let's call them Alara and Liam, who built a world for themselves when the world around them tried to tear it down. This isn't my story, but it's a story that has resonated with me deeply, a testament to the quiet strength of the human heart. Alara and Liam moved into a small, close-knit neighborhood, the kind where everyone knows everyone's business. From the outside, they seemed perfect. Liam, with his easy smile and the way he'd fix anything for anyone, and Alara, with a laugh that sounded like wind chimes and a garden that overflowed with color. But their love story wasn't as simple as it looked. The whispers started subtly, little comments over the garden fence, pointed questions at community barbecues. "Aren't they a bit different?" one neighbor would murmur. "I just don't see it lasting," another would say, shaking their head with a knowing look. The reasons were never clear, always vague and shrouded in judgment. Maybe it was an age gap, maybe different backgrounds, or perhaps it was just the simple, ugly fact that their happiness made others uncomfortable. For Alara and Liam, these words were like tiny, persistent thorns. At first, they tried to ignore them, to laugh them off. They were secure in their love, wrapped in the bubble they had created just for two. But the negativity was relentless, a constant low hum of disapproval that began to seep through the cracks. The initial sting of these comments brought a sharp, unexpected pain. It's a unique kind of hurt when the world looks at the person you cherish most and says, "They're not right for you." Alara would sometimes come in from her garden, her bright smile dimmed, the joy she found in her flowers momentarily stolen by a neighbor's passing remark. Liam would hear the whispers while he was out fixing a gate or helping with a leaky pipe, and a shadow would cross his usually cheerful face. The pain wasn't for themselves, but for each other. Liam hated seeing the light go out of Alara's eyes, and Alara's heart ached knowing that Liam was being judged unfairly. They never doubted their love, but the constant need to defend it, even silently, was exhausting. It was a shared, private pain they carried together, a burden added to their lives by people who knew nothing of the depth of their connection. As the weeks turned into months, the initial sharp pain began to settle into a deeper, more pervasive sadness. Imagine waking up every day in a place you call home, only to feel like you're an unwelcome guest. The neighborhood, which should have been a place of community and support, became a source of quiet sorrow. The casual waves from neighbors felt hollow, their smiles strained. Alara and Liam started to withdraw, their world shrinking until it was just the four walls of their cozy little house. The sadness was a quiet companion. It sat with Alara as she tended her roses, the vibrant colors a stark contrast to the gray feeling in her heart. She'd wonder, why can't they just see how happy he makes me? The joy of sharing her beautiful garden with others was gone, replaced by a need to shield it, to shield him, from prying, judgmental eyes. Liam felt it too. He was a man who thrived on community, on lending a hand. But now, every offer of help felt like an audition, a desperate attempt to prove his worth, to prove their love was valid. The laughter in their home became a little quieter, as if they were afraid it might be overheard and misinterpreted. They stopped attending neighborhood gatherings, the forced pleasantries and veiled insults too much to bear. This isolation brought them closer in some ways, turning them into a fiercely protective unit of two. But it also tinged their happiness with a melancholy hue. Their love story was being written in a beautiful, private script, but it was underlined with the sorrow of not being able to share it openly, to celebrate it loudly, without fear of judgment. It was the sadness of knowing that the simple, pure love they shared was seen as something complicated and wrong by the very people they lived amongst. But human beings are resilient, and love, true love, is one of the most resilient forces on earth. After weathering the storm of pain and the long, quiet reign of sadness, something new began to grow in the space between Alara and Liam. It was pride. Not an arrogant, loud pride, but a quiet, unshakable conviction in what they had. They had faced the whispers, the stares, and the cold shoulders, and they were still standing, hand in hand. They began to realize that the opinions of their neighbors were nothing more than noise. The validation they needed wasn't from the outside world. It was found in the way Liam looked at Alara when she talked about her dreams, in the way she'd place a hand on his arm, a simple gesture that said everything. Their love wasn't a performance for others to approve of. It was their sanctuary, their truth. This newfound pride changed everything. They started to live their lives not in defiance, but with a simple, elegant indifference to the negativity. Alara's laughter returned, louder and more brilliant than ever, echoing from their front porch. She planted the brightest, boldest flowers right at the edge of her garden, a vibrant declaration of joy for all to see. Liam started whistling again as he worked in the yard, his cheerful tunes a melody of contentment. They began holding hands on their evening walks again, not as a challenge, but because it was their natural state of being. If a neighbor stared, they would meet their gaze with a calm, polite smile. They were no longer trying to prove anything. They were simply being. Their pride was in their survival, in the strength of their bond. It was a pride that said, "Our love is our home, and it is beautiful, and it is enough." They had turned the poison of others' judgment into the foundation of their own unshakable fortress. It was a quiet, powerful victory, celebrated not with fireworks, but with the steady, peaceful rhythm of their shared life. And yet, even within this triumph, there was a lingering, bittersweet sorrow. It was a different kind of sorrow than the one they had felt before. This was not the sorrow of being misunderstood, but the sorrow for those who could not understand. Alara and Liam would sometimes look at their neighbors, people living in such close proximity, yet so far away in their capacity for acceptance. They felt a pang of sorrow for the joy these people were missing, for the beautiful connections they were closing themselves off to because of narrow-mindedness. They saw the loneliness behind the judgment, the insecurity that fueled the gossip. They felt sorrow for a community that chose division over connection, suspicion over kindness. It was a mature, empathetic sorrow. They no longer felt anger or hurt, but a gentle pity. They wished their neighbors could experience the kind of profound happiness they had found, a happiness that wasn't dependent on conformity or external approval. This sorrow was a testament to how much they had grown. They had been through the fire and had not come out hardened, but softened, with a greater capacity for empathy. They understood that the people who had tried to hurt them were, in their own way, hurting too. And so, their love story became something more than just a romance. It became a quiet lesson in grace. They continued to live their truth, not just with pride, but with a gentle compassion for the world that had tried and failed to break them. Their love, once a target of sorrow, had become a source of wisdom, casting a soft light that illuminated the shadows in the hearts of others, even if those others were unable to see it. It was the final, most poignant chapter in their journey, finding peace not by changing the world, but by understanding it. Alara and Liam's story is a powerful reminder. It teaches us that the strongest walls aren't made of bricks and mortar, but of love, trust, and shared experience. It shows us that true validation comes from within a relationship, not from the chorus of outside voices. The pain they endured, the sadness that followed, the pride they earned, and the empathetic sorrow they ultimately felt. It all wove together to create a tapestry far richer and more durable than any easy, uncomplicated love story. Their journey proves that sometimes, the greatest test of love is not an internal conflict, but the external pressure of a world that doesn't understand. And passing that test doesn't always mean changing minds. Sometimes, it just means holding on tighter to the one hand that matters. It's about building a home in each other that is so safe and so strong that no storm from the outside can ever tear it down. Their love didn't just survive, it thrived. It became a quiet, beautiful landmark in a neighborhood of ordinary houses, a testament to the extraordinary power of two hearts beating as one. Thank you so much for joining me to hear this story. If it resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories about the incredible resilience of the human spirit. See you next time.